All right, on tonight's episode of Python Papi, we're back inside our artificial intelligence course, and we're still doing our neural networks module. Let's have a look at what we went over tonight. Now, last night, if you recall, we didn't do too much reading inside of the module because we went over something else. But tonight, I am going to do a little bit of light reading for you. And tonight, we're going to be talking about recurrent neural networks, something that or one of the topics that we touched on last night that we didn't get a chance to go over. This is a representation of that. And tonight, we're going to talk about different aspects of this particular network right here. So this then is one-to-many relationship, or this then is a one-to-many relationship inside of a recurrent network. You see here we have one input to many outputs. So that's what that represents there. But it turns out that there are other models we can use, other ways we can try and use this recurrent neural network to be able to represent data that might be stored in other forms as well. We saw how we can use neural networks in order to analyze images in the context of convolutional neural networks that take an image, figure out various different properties of the image in order to draw some sort of conclusion based on that. But we might imagine that something like YouTube, they need to be able to do a lot of learning based on video. They need to look through videos to detect things like copyright violations, or they need to be able to look through one second, let me get they need to be able to look through videos based or to maybe identify what particular items are inside of the video. For example, in video, we might imagine it's much more difficult to put as input into a neural network because whereas with the image we can just treat each pixel as a different value, videos are sequences. They're sequences of images, and each sequence might be a different length, so it might be challenging to represent that entire video as a single vector of values we can pass into a neural network. And here too, recurrent neural networks can be a valuable solution for trying to solve this type of problem. That is, instead of just passing a single input into our neural network, we can pass in the input one frame at a time, you might imagine. First, taking the first frame of the video, passing it into the network, and then maybe not having the network output anything at all. Let it take in another input, and this time pass it into the network, but the network gets information from the last time we provided input to the network. Then we pass in the third input, then the fourth input, where each time what the network gets, it gets the most recent input, like each frame of the video. But it also gets information in the network process from all of the previous iterations. So in frame number 4, we might end up getting the input from frame number 4, plus information the network has calculated from the last 3 inputs. And using all of that data combined, this recurrent neural network can begin to learn how to extract patterns from a sequence of data as well. Now, we do have an example of what that might look like represented by a graph. As you see here, this is our network, or this is our neural network represented or based on that idea here. You see here we have a bunch of inputs going into networks, but the network's not particularly spitting out any inputs, just going back into the network, or just going back into the input to go back into the network, so we can actually feed off the previous network's information and just keep on moving down until we get to a final solution here, which is the output we want. Now, this output is the accumulation of all of the information that we gathered from these networks that were fed back into the input repeatedly until we got to the final outcome. And that's what we went over for tonight. That's basically what we went over last night also, but a different form. This is a different form of it here. But again, I will keep you guys posted every step of the way on moving forward. But for now, this is the Python Papi. You guys stay Gucci.